Entrepreneurship is definitely one of the key factors, but more importantly, sustainable energy solutions, sustainability needs to be a way of life. What you see here as one of the photographs is a rice paddy straw. And this is something which is sequestered, captured carbon. And, it is one of the many crop residues that we work with. The farmers want the field to prepare it for the next crop, and hence the easiest disposal mechanism becomes burning it, and which is the open field farm fires. And what we keep listening about, Delhi going black, etc., because of this farm agri residue parali burning problem. With every Hindu cremation in the country, there is 20 years of tree life, basically two trees which are cut down. In India, in terms of a number today, we have 28 trees per person. That's our number. One of the lowest in the world. Farm agri residue, as I had shown in the earlier pictures, densify it into briquettes and take those briquettes into cremation, replacing 100% wood in that cremation. This sustainable ecosystem now accords you opportunity to move away from a job seeker to an entrepreneurship journey and actually become job providers. So if this change management participation happens, each one of us could actually become job providers in the ecosystem and wherever you are.
Today at WishwaTalks, we are privileged to hear from someone who's not only building businesses, but building ecosystems, not only addressing climate change, but reimagining livelihoods, dignity, and shared value. Please join me in warmly welcoming Sir. Without further ado, I now invite Lieutenant Colonel Monish Ahuja, retired, to share his insights on how to power your businesses with sustainable energy.
Thanks, Trishant, for the warm welcome and for the elongated introduction. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be back at WishwaTalks. This is my second edition after many months. Thanks to the Wishwa team for inviting me to speak on this important topic. Entrepreneurship is definitely one of the key factors, but more importantly, sustainable energy solutions, sustainability needs to be a way of life. And, if we can build solutions which are sustainable, which are green, which are, going to create value, where value is intrinsic to making money, yes, but more importantly, value is also intrinsic to what we do today for the tomorrow of children. And hence, it's a collective responsibility for each one of us to do our bit, however small or large it might be, immaterial, but to start imbibing sustainability as a way of life in every action and step that we take. And with this, it is more important to build sustainable ecosystem businesses and participate wholeheartedly in movement is bringing, that government is bringing, and both public-private partnerships are building. You mentioned about some of our work. I will use our work as an example of what can be done at large by society, and hopefully by the end of my talk, even if a small portion of the participants here can start looking at making that change, it would be a job well done for the day. With that, I have a small presentation of 4 or 5 slides. I would just like to talk basis what I will be able to show you and talk about creation of sustainable ecosystems. What you see here as one of the photographs is a rice paddy straw. And this is something which is sequestered, captured carbon. And, it is one of the many crop residues that we work with. Now, we work with the farmer community and we work with what we call as village level entrepreneurs. So we create entrepreneurship models with farmers where we empower them with equipment, training, finance, and we create an ecosystem on a hub and spoke model for aggregation of farm agri residue. The disposal of this farm agri residue is a problem for the farmers. More often than not, within India and globally, this is burnt. The farmers want the field to, prepare it for the next crop, and hence the easiest disposal mechanism becomes burning it, and which is the open field farm fires. And what we keep listening about, Delhi going black, etc., because of this farm agri residue parali burning problem. So hence the photograph where we work and we aggregate this. Now, couple of things here. This is something which we started in India for the first time between the years 2006 2007. For the first time, we imported equipment for post harvest farm residue management, and we built an ecosystem for aggregating this, storing this. So basically, these are open field warehousing where thousands and lakhs of tons of this farm agri residue is stored, created the hub and spoke model. And I think that pathway of a journey which started almost 2 decades ago, today has transformed into a movement where there are hundreds of companies, startups, new age businesses which have got into this upstream first mile supply chain management of farm agri residue feedstock. And today we have for Prespel competition in the market, which is a very, very positive sign to see. So I think the crux of where or what I would like to talk about is creation of a sustainable model where working with the farmers, we don't allow for open field farm residue burning. We get the farmers to become village level entrepreneurs and participate along with us in doing this work in their own fields, their neighbors' fields, etc. So, villages, talukas, ecosystem, and bring this farm agri residue out using post-harvest farming equipment to collection centers, depots, or warehousing, as you see in this photograph. And then we store this for usage in a midstream segment of industry for the years, time. Now, that's the crux of the upstream, biomass to infrastructure. And, where I think more and more entrepreneurship and sustainability can come is many more companies looking at utilizing and doing this work with farm agri residue management. Now, once this is done, and this is the core of the business, one needs to look at the utilization of this farm agri residue. Where will this get utilized? Now, there is massive potential. There are different numbers, but safely in terms of the farm agri residue, which is available to get aggregated, we have more than 500 plus million metric tons of agri residue available annually. In fact, the number is significantly higher, but this number comes out with assumption of a 50% collection efficiency. Now, if that's the potential of what we call as carbon capture, storage and utilization solution, CCSU or CCUS, today where we are as a world, as planet Earth, we have actually gone ahead with our energy consumption to be significantly much higher than the natural ecosystem of the carbon capture that the earth does. So over centuries or period of time, carbon gets captured, in various forms, and that goes into the earth's crust. And again, temperature, pressure variations over period of time, this converts into crude oil, natural gas, coal, and other energy related energy products, which we mine, we bring out, and we utilize that for energy consumption forms and put that carbon back into the atmosphere. So all our energy utilization across the world has happened and the advancements have happened, but we are actually putting that carbon, which is naturally captured, back into the atmosphere much more faster and in larger numbers and volumes than the natural process of capture, which still continues. And this is the main reason for the global warming, the situation of 1.5 degrees and 2 degrees beach. And this is because of excessive carbon, which we are putting back, then that is getting captured. And as simple as that, we need to reverse this. We need to reverse this with lower energy consumption. Very difficult to happen because every country is seeing significant increase in energy consumption. Industrialization, development from developing countries to developed countries and so on and so forth. So we cannot have a situation of energy not being available. So we need to find alternate sources of energy availability in the same molecule or calorific value form as is presently utilized with trillions of dollars of energy midstream assets which are there: refineries, coal plants, steel plants, cement plants, transportation in terms of surface transportation, sea transportation, aviation, and so on and so forth. So can we find a molecule which is replacement in the same chemical form and use it in the existing systems? And if we can do that, then increase use of this molecule from sustainable sources will support in lesser quantum of extraction of energy from the earth's crust and somewhere bring a balance and maybe tilt the balance to favorable conditions. That's what we need to do. And we need to do it as of yesterday. And if in that ecosystem, sustainable solutions with the 500 plus million tons that is being showed here in this slide, you can do this solution. So there is a journey of industrial decarbonization with urgency. There is a journey of expanding carbon markets where we can bring non-fossil fuel carbon into usage and look at structures which can be financially viable, economically viable, sustainable, compliant with EHSG norms, and bring bankable infrastructure to the fore. Jargon, maybe yes, large scale, yes, but it can be done as small as individuals taking it up and becoming a part of that journey. So today, farmers as village level entrepreneurs have started aggregating, and small ecosystem markets in hub and spoke model is available for them. They are able to monetize this farm agri residue, hence there is a value. This becomes input fuel or the new crude or the new coal for midstream assets which are getting built, and these assets now contribute towards the decarbonization side. Now, there is a lot which can be done and said in terms of what we can talk about. And, I can go on talking more and more about it. But what is important is the ability to do it on ground, ability to showcase this entire systematic value chain to happen at scale. And that's what I think we have been able to bring. Like in the introduction, it was spoken about the Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Vigyan, Jai Anushandan, as Honorable Prime Minister has added. There is an entire ecosystem of youth, or the Jawan as we call it, the Kisan, the farmer, the Vigyan or the science around it, and today the R&D development or the Anushandan around it. This entire system of integrating upstream supply chain management, midstream assets, downstream market creation, and around it, the entire financial viability of such projects is something which is execution reality today. We have done it. Many more companies are doing it. And this is where there is entire new segment of energy generation, energy creation, and energy replacement of fossil fuel, thus bringing new avenues of entrepreneurship, bringing new avenues of sustainable businesses, bringing new avenues of job creation, bringing new avenues of work which can be done. And in the scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, energy utilization, reduction of the carbon footprint. Another aspect around all of this is when we are saying that there is sustainability and carbon footprint reduction, how do you measure it? How do you map it? Who measures it? Who maps it? How is it reported? So solutions now are getting developed, which are technology based, AI based, blockchain based, where it is about DMRV, digital monitoring, reporting, verification. There are solutions for tracking and traceability of this carbon. There are solutions for a digital energy footprint to get created. So we are bringing technology and science to get intertwined with simple aggregation of feedstock to bring the tracking and traceability of where it is getting aggregated from, which farmer has not burnt it in his or her field. This movement in hub and spoke model of what is the distance that a tractor may be utilizing diesel has moved, and can this diesel now be replaced with compressed biogas or CNG? Can this be replaced with an EV tractor? Can that electricity be from sustainable battery energy storage system so that it is in the entire value chain 100% clean electricity, and each step of this value chain look at decarbonization and sustainability. That's the moat in terms of the business opportunity of trillions of dollars which is available to do. And on this execution reality slide, that is what we are talking about. The assumptions of where you start from, the feedstock availability, technology in terms of efficient conversion, the carbon premium to be assured. So India today has developed its own carbon trading scheme, the carbon market, and thus it opens up of avenue for sustainability to come in for each of the industrial practice. And for that, you are able to get some capital, some money, some monetization to happen from the carbon trading schemes. So you need to be participative there. You need to understand there, understand the real world solutions to bring. It is fragmented, it is seasonal, it is variational, but can you bring a solution around it? Yes. How do you build it is something which we are happy to participate, showcase. We today are engaged with dozens of academic institutions, IITs, IIMs, industrial training institutes, skill development institutes, where we are building or supporting building of this entrepreneurial ecosystem, which in each of the segments can get monetized, can get a value. Each of the players in this sustainable ecosystem for what they do will get a value. Will get a value in terms of physical money capital in their banks, will get a value for sustainability certificates, will get a value in the carbon stream from carbon monetization, and overall, we are doing good for the environment. Now, there is a linkage of this entire flow. Ultimately, when we talk about sustainable practices, when we talk about clean energy, when we talk about carbon management, when we talk about industrial shift, all of it, while different segments, when we talk about financing around it, the carbon markets development around it, each of it is a different field, but each is intertwined with the other. Look at solutions. I'll give you an example. And again, in the introduction, they spoke about what we do in terms of eco-cremation. In my last Vishwa talk also, I had made a small reference about it. We are the largest Hindu population in the world. Because of our societal norms and traditions, we want Agni Moksha for disposal of a body. In the Agni Moksha, the most widely used form even today is the cremation based on tree wood. With every Hindu cremation in the country, there is 20 years of tree life, basically two trees which are cut down. In India, in terms of a number today, we have 28 trees per person. That's our number. One of the lowest in the world. Canada, the number is 10,600 trees per person. While we might have a large forest cover, we might have large number of trees, but we are a large population, and hence If you look at the per capita tree density number, India's number is 28, one of the lowest in the world. So how are we going to get a carbon sink? Difficult. You know, any city, and please look out and look at the sky. And, maybe we can do a, how many see a blue sky? You ask your kids today, what is the color of the sky? The textbook might say blue, but you don't see a blue sky in India. It's gray, it's black. AQI index is only a measure of the carbon or the PM2.5 that you are breathing. But there is no blue sky. There is no carbon sink. 28 trees sequestering carbon for each individual is way, way less than the carbon that we are putting back into the atmosphere. And hence the situation is today gone from bad to worse, and it is still going to go to worse with each day that we are moving at. So we need to do something, very fast. We need to change the ecosystem. Can we save 2 trees per cremation? And if we save those 2 trees, you're actually saving 40, 50 years of residual tree life. Look at what that tree has done in its 20-year cycle that I mentioned, how much CO2 it has sequestered in its growth, captured that carbon, put it into the Earth's crust, including in its body of growth. And what do? We cut it and we release that carbon out with each cremation. So the change which we attempted to do, and today we are doing it at scale, is use this farm agri residue, as I had shown in the earlier pictures, densify it into briquettes, and take those briquettes into cremation, replacing 100% wood in that cremation. So you are getting moksha which the society wants. You are getting to see the burning of the body which society wants. You are able to save trees, but in effect, a sustainable change management practice which we have achieved at scale, showcased it at scale, resulting in 2 trees getting saved out of the 28 with 40, 50 years of tree life residual, continuing to sequester carbon, and also resulting in a circular ecosystem of carbon capture in the farm agri residue photosynthesis, using for the same burning which society wants, and a subset of it going back. Now, this practice, and we are working now with government and the policymakers and regulators for such change management practice to also get carbon credits. If planting of a tree is in the nature-based solution, getting carbon credits globally, that tree not being cut and having another 40, 50 years of residual life also logically should get carbon credits. So this change is now going to get carbon credits, and thus you will be able to monetize it as an economic ecosystem in sustainability. So similar kind of multiple solutions. Now, if this has to be done, how will you get carbon credits? So somebody has to have a baseline. There has to be a baseline study of what happens when wood burns. There has to be a digital tracking and traceability of cremation actually having happened on 100% briquettes. Somebody needs to monitor it, report it. Somebody needs to verify it. Once all this of a digital monitoring, reporting, verification has happened, then it needs to be available on a platform. It needs to be in a digital token form so that that token can be traded. And all of this entails technological interventions to start coming in a change management across a sustainable change ecosystem that we are building. So you need technology to come in. You need people with jobs and such technological interventions for a simple thing like burning and disposal of a body. So this is one example I have tried to give, but look at the scale. Look at the number of Hindu deaths, and we are ever increasing population of, 1.4 billion plus today in the country. If you look at the death rate at 1.7 percentage, look at the numbers. So Aurangabad as a city, average we have between 325 to 350 eco cremation per month, and that means per month we are saving on an average 700 trees from being cut. And if you start extrapolating these numbers, so just as a number, we released a press release in July of last year, and that was a point of time where we had made sales of INR or rupees 1 crore of briquettes in about 10,200 kind of number of cremations which had been done. But that resulted in a 930 crores of national asset of wood value getting saved. Humongous. One city only. So, look at this going to today we are doing it in about 25 cities across India, and hopefully in the next 5, 7, 10 years, we would be across more than 100, cities across India doing this. Now, this is something which can be done by anybody. We are not claiming to be the only company or only proposition to do this. Anybody who wants to join this bandwagon of change can. And today, I'm very happy that we have young, MBAs, IIT student mind who are willing to take up this ecosystem building of eco cremation. So we have, propositions of doing this for change management across state of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Assam, from youngsters who are willing to participate and do this. So what is going to happen? They are going to become entrepreneurs. They are going to create jobs. They are going to create sustainable, investable climate infrastructure change to happen in normal societal practices and norms which are there. So I use this as an example to try and explain what can be done. Similarly, large scale industries, today in this present budget, there is a capital outlay for 20,000 crores for CCUS, carbon capture, utilization, storage. This is the first time it has happened. What has got acknowledged? The fact that we need to capture carbon from the atmosphere much faster than we are putting it, what I spoke about earlier. So there is a budgetary allocation from the government towards that. So what does it mean? If you and me start capturing carbon and start storing that carbon and utilizing that carbon, government is actually going to pay us for it. This is new. Anything that you can do in this segment is new. You are going to create businesses out of it. So today's solutions of carbon capture, storage, utilization, new age businesses are coming. Where will this carbon get utilized? It'll get utilized in the energy bit. It'll get utilized in the carbon markets. It'll get utilized in decarbonizing industry, decarbonizing agriculture, decarbonizing processes, decarbonizing transportation, surface, air, sustainable aviation fuel, methanol for shipping, ethanol for, petrol replacement, biodiesel for diesel replacement, compressed biogas for CNG replacement of that compressed biogas molecule for cooking. And all of this is happening. So this is where, I would urge, participants to look at building such solutions. And more importantly, this sustainable ecosystem now accords you opportunity to move away from a job seeker to an entrepreneurship journey and actually become job providers. So if this change management participation happens, each one of us could actually become job providers in the ecosystem and wherever you are. Not necessary that we have to do everything. You could be on the tech side of it. You could be actually on the implementation side of it. You could be EPC companies. You could be aggregation, aggregators of the feedstock. So this biomass is the new oil. Data, like we say, is the new oil on the technology side. This farm agri residue is the new oil, is the new coal, is the new natural gas. And this is getting utilized in this, energy change management. Now, what do we need? What do we need? We need infrastructure mindset. Each of these actions that we do need to be predictable. Each of these actions that we do should be repeatable. It should be available. Each of it should be auditable. And if all this is happening, then yes, it should also be investable. So if you start small and you start growing that, each of this element of integration will happen. And Prespel today, in our 14th, 15th year of business journey, is exactly what we do. We are able to utilize this farm agri residue in the entire energy value chain of various use cases of it. And thereby, we have created a business ecosystem which is predictable, which is repeatable, replicable by many more Prespels of the world which are coming up. It gets audited, the carbon footprint gets audited, business gets audited, and it gets financed today. When we started off, nobody used to finance us. Nobody even used to look at this as a business segment. What has also happened? India, along with US and Brazil, as our G20 presidency takeaway, the photograph of all heads of state holding hands, is the announcement of the Global Biofuel Alliance. Global Biofuel Alliance headquarter is in India. It's a body which now is propagating for biofuels and bioenergy as the new form of energy across the world. India is taking the lead along with Brazil and US to propagate this around the world. So obviously we are going to be leaders in it. Just a slide to show you all in terms of locations of implementation and numbers. And if you just see the red and green structure, when we started out and started putting out numbers in July, September 22, at that point of time, immediately after COVID, 89% was on wood, 11% was briquettes. If you look at the number 3 years down the line, July to September quarter 25, it's completely reversed. And as I told you, today the number is 95%. So this is one city only. Like this, we are in 25 cities today. And obviously the numbers start from zero, but we are seeing similar data change management happening. What we have now interestingly done is, along with a platform called as Report to Earn. Basically, if you report and that data is available on a platform, you will be able to earn and monetize that. So we have brought in this technology platform. We have put this eco cremation on that platform, and thus the Shamshan Yogi, the family, people who are attending the cremation on that app can report eco cremation. And once that reporting happens, somebody will verify it. It is based on a death certificate, etc. There is a verification protocol. Once that gets reported, once that get verifies, individuals will actually be able to earn by just reporting a eco cremation. And what happens? Where will they get paid from? Such data which gets built, will get tokenized, will go on a blockchain platform, and thus the scale and size of it, of thousand lakhs and crores of numbers coming up in this eco cremation, will become a carbon token, and thus even in death you will contribute towards sustainability for the society. Again, there are many more solutions that we work with, solutions for eco chula, where you can replace right from a small house in a village, where even today the cooking, despite all government's push for use of LPG, which again is still fossil fuel, is continuing to happen on wood. So can we replace that wood with a pellet, a briquette? So we have developed scale and size eco chulas. There are many more in the market who do this and bring this solution with an entire ecosystem. Again, entrepreneurship model for many to take. So these eco chulas are today available in bars, are available in 5 stars, are available in community cookhouses. We are also taking this model now to the African market, where cooking even today predominantly happens on wood charcoal. The entire Africa continent continues to do cooking on wood charcoal. So millions of trees are getting cut. So can we bring, and they have agriculture in a big way, So can we bring the ecosystem change? That is what we are working. We have done pilots and projects, So a project in Darjeeling where firewood is used by the laborers and workers in the tea industry. So trees are getting cut as firewood. Can we replace that with sustainable ecosystems? So, there are multiple such projects which can be done across the entire value chain of conventional energy usage and replacement to bring in. Today we have cylinders in terms of LPG, but look at the ecosystem of that cylinder movement. LPG in itself is fossil fuel, but for that LPG cylinder to reach our house, there is a truck system, there is a tempo system, which is burning diesel for that to reach our houses. It is getting changed in cities with pipe, natural gas pipe systems, city gas distribution systems. But even in that, the LPG which is coming is fossil fuel. So even in our cooking, we are using fossil fuel. Can we replace that? So these are, solutions that we are building. We can replace that molecule with compressed biogas molecule in the city gas distribution system. Today, government has made it mandatory to 2%. It is going to increase to 5 and then 20%. Thus, we are replacing molecule. Where is this going to come? It is going to come from this compressed biogas. It is going to come from the biodegradable fraction in municipal solid waste. So from the waste streams today, replacement molecule of conventional energy is coming.
I would also like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our esteemed speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Monish Ahuja. Thank you, sir, for your service to our nation and to Mother Earth.